Hey Brick fans, and welcome back to the Brick Bakery, where all our jokes are half baked. I'm Jacob, and today it's time for a Let's Build and Review. Today we are having a look at the 6510 Mud Runner, which is a set from 1991 that consists of 25 parts and one minifig. Fast transport and speedy driving is an important part of the LEGO universe, and if you check out the racing sub-theme of the town theme on brickset.com, you'll find that there's 48 matches for that theme. So there is plenty of racing vehicles out there, and this is just one of them. But without further ado, let's have a look at this little mud runner. So this is the manual for this little set. Not too much to see on this one, just a regular old blue gradient background, some green middle ground right here, and some sand colored foreground to indicate dirt or sand, or maybe just a gravel road that the mud runner can run on. Maybe I was a little surprised that as it is a mud runner, that there's not much done to make this look like mud. It just looked like a piece of sand or something that it's driving on. But other than that, this is a great little manual. These pictures from the early 90s are great. I really like this. The simplicity of it is superb. So this is very cool. But without further ado, let's get on with the build. Now, the attachment of this piece right here, I've always found a little awkward, because you have to take this piece here and put this one underneath at this end and above on the other end. I remember as a kid, this was actually something I found pretty hard, but it does look really, really awesome, I think. This set is from 1991, and 1991 is actually the first year for the racers theme or racing theme, as far as I can understand. I've looked this up on Wikipedia, and it's a very short entry. It also seems that this came along with houses, Nautica, and flight themes, sub-themes of the town theme, all of them, which is cool. I like race cars, and I think that adding race cars like this, or at least having these very diverse race cars in the LEGO lineup, is just fantastic. Something that's particularly interesting with this set right here are these pieces. I don't believe these are actually produced anymore, and I think that might have to do with this little clip right here. I imagine this one breaks rather easily compared to other solutions that might have the same function. So this piece, I think, is pretty special for this set. Here is the finished mud runner, a cool little racing vehicle with the number 4 on it and a small race car driver. I think it looks quite stylish with the 4 colors that's been used to make this little build. And I think the overall shape is quite interesting because it gives it this very rugged and very mud racing look. And let's have a look at the vehicle in all its detail. The first thing that draws my eye on this little build is this print right here on front. This is a particularly good print, I think. Sometimes you get a weak printing or a bad printing when you put a light color on top of something dark. Like this, we've seen some minifigure faces, for instance, that was kind of oddly shaded because they were printed on a dark minifigure head. But this here actually looks pretty good. I know that the yellow does look kind of pale maybe in comparison to this yellow up here, but other than that, it does seem like it is pretty good. So this is a great print, and I like the way they've chosen to shape the number as well. This number is very, very sporty, I think. So this is a great print and a great little front piece to this set. The next thing I notice is, of course, these bars right here, which seems to sort of give the impression of a roll cage, or at least something that's been made to make this vehicle a little more sturdy. I imagine mud running is a very tough sport, especially it's tough on your vehicle, and having something that makes it sturdy like these here, this roll cage, is probably pretty important, both to sort of protect the driver, but also to just keep the frame rigid, to make sure that the vehicle doesn't break down. And using a yellow one of these, I don't know what this piece is called actually, but it is something I've usually seen for horses, used for horse carts and such. This is a very creative use of this piece. I like this. This is great. A little farther down the back, there's this light setup right here, and I imagine this is very, very useful when you're driving fast down a dark, muddy racetrack. This can light your way and maybe even make your car a little more visible to other racers on the track. I like the technique that they've used to make this. These pieces here are very, very typical of the 90s. I am fairly certain they are out of production at this point, and I imagine that's because these clips right here would break rather easily. Luckily, I have two here that are complete, so that's pretty good. And of course, this modified 1x2 piece with two small attachments here on the end. A great idea how to make this, and I think they did really well with this, and very creative idea to attach it to this this bar piece right here in this way. Very, very creative, great little idea. And all the way down the back, there's of course this spoiler right here, which has been attached by a jumper plate, a small clip piece, and a 1x2 modified piece as well. It's just a 1x4 tile that's put here to give the sort of impression of a spoiler. I have been wondering if a spoiler would have too much of a function on a race car like this. I guess mud running isn't going as fast as, say, Formula 1 racing or something like that, so I don't know if a spoiler is particularly useful in sort of a practical sense, but for the looks, it is very, very important, and it really adds the sort of finishing touches to this race vehicle right here. And of course, lastly, there is the minifigure, and this guy is one of the plainest ones I've seen in a long time. He's almost only blue except for the white sleeves. And the only thing that really gives us any kind of idea that this is a race car driver is the helmet. However, the helmet is a very, very classic piece of minifigure wear, so I don't mind too much, and I do like how his blue colors actually complement the racing vehicle very well. His helmet has this movable visor, which is always very, very nice and really adds a sense of realism to the helmet. Now, of course, in the beginning of the 90s, printing wasn't as abundant as it has become later on, particularly on minifigs. However, I would have liked to seen some pockets, maybe a zipper going across his torso or something like that. And there isn't any kind of printing on his back either, which is typical for the 90s figures. However, a number printed on the back, maybe the number 4 to match his car, would be a good idea. But of course, this is a 90s figure, so we get no printing at all. All in all, when you take the piece count into consideration, I think you have to admire how much they actually managed to do with only about 20 pieces. Now, of course, 2 of these pieces are pretty big, so it's easy to get something that actually takes up a lot of space with relatively few pieces when you're using big pieces like that. But the creative use of that big bar piece, the light rack, and that spoiler really adds a lot of great details to this build. And of course, adding the printed plate in front, which has a great print, really takes this one home for me. So I think it's not just nostalgia when I say that I like this set, and I would like to see a whole flock of these in different colors racing against each other. 30 years on, and this is still a great set. A creative use of pieces and a wonderful little printed piece as well. I really like this. I think it's cool. If you wanted a new one today from Bricklink, it would cost you about 200 Danish kroner. Now that's $30 US and about 23 British pounds. So that is pretty expensive. Of course, a used one would be much cheaper, and I think maybe you could piece one together from your existing collection, or at least a slightly modified version, and that might be cool and the cheapest way as well. But that's all for me today. I hope you'll comment, like, and subscribe, and I hope you'll go to my website www.brickbakery.fun. Now that's www.brickbakery.fun to get the full Brick Bakery experience.